Please be seated. The better part, the quiet part, sitting at the Lord's feet and listening. We've all heard this story in church over and over several times, really. At least every 3 years we hear this story. About Mary and Martha. And every time we hear it, it seems like we must decide whether we are more like Mary or we're like Martha. Martha appears to always get a bad rap, which I think is a little bit unfair. She does all the hosting and the serving, and Mary does nothing except sit at Jesus' feet, listening to what he's saying. But perhaps there's another message here, not about who's like Mary and who's like Martha. I don't mean to minimize the importance of Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to what he has to say. In this way, we should be like Mary sometimes. At the same time, we do not want to develop or downplay the importance of Martha's gifts, the ability to organize, prepare, serve, and do what's necessary to be done. In that way, we should all desire to be kind of like Martha. We all know people like that. And where would the church be without Marthas? I shudder to think. We have plenty of Marthas in this church, thank God. We have plenty of Martas in this church too. Amen. Marthas and Martas. Without servers and people to do the work that needs to be done, and there's always seems to be an endless number of things that need to be done. Things to do. We can honestly say we would be up a creek without a paddle, without Marty and Martha's. At our diocesan annual convention this year, service awards will be awarded to servants of the year for all congregations in the Diocese of San Diego. We're asked to nominate one person from each parish. If you're interested in trying out for one of these positions, please let me know. Actually, there will be no tryouts. But we will have one person. We're asked to nominate one person. So what do you call a servant with fake teeth? Question. What do you call a servant with fake teeth? Answer. An indentured servant. And what do you call a servant? What do you call a servant of God that's sad? Depriest. Okay. Do you agree with me that it's not that hard to recognize those that are hard workers and have a servant's heart? I want to tell you a story about the First Episcopal Church that Naomi and I were members of. And I don't know if I've told this story before, but I really like it, so maybe I have. It's a good one, and the message is really cool. St. Philip's in Grand Rapids, Michigan has a rich history as an historically, though not exclusively, African-American Episcopal church. When we first started attending the church, I noticed an older man that mowed the grass and cleaned the church. I noticed he was pretty consistent in his chores, and he not only cleaned, but he also fixed things that needed fixing. I served as the clerk of the vestry of the church, had done a capital campaign, and had raised almost all of the money necessary to build a wellness center right next to the sanctuary, actually adjoining building. The wellness center, like the church, would have 2 stories and a basement and an elevator that would travel from the basement of the church. They built the elevator large enough to put a casket in it. So it was a pretty wide elevator. I was impressed. And the elevator would travel from the basement of the church to the 2 floors on both buildings. The wellness center would also be equipped with a commercial kitchen to serve meals to the community as well as for parish events. The wellness center was a gift to the community as well as a gift to the church family. But it appeared we had a major problem. We got a letter from the city that was not encouraging. In the construction plans, we not only planned to erect a building, but we also planned to expand our parking lot. The letter from the city told us that the parking lot was a no-go. because that land would have to be set aside for floodwater runoff, water runoff for the neighborhood, a water runoff problem. Sounds kind of like Borrego Springs, doesn't it? Without going into details, I can just say that it was a big deal and a significant obstacle to our plans. But at our next vestry meeting, where I served as a secretary, I wasn't a member yet, but they asked me to be the secretary, so I said, okay. There was another notice from the city with a letter attached from a Dr. Earl Harper. Dr. Harper wrote on behalf of the church, and in the letter he took issue with the conclusions and said that the city engineering department had made a mistake. They miscalculated the area. He had all of the mathematical formula, and we did not have to do what they wanted us to do, but instead we could continue with our plan to expand our parking lot. I asked the vestry what I thought was an innocent question. I asked, "Who is Dr. Earl Harper?" The reply was with astonishment. "You know Earl. You see him cutting the grass and cleaning the buildings and greeting folks on Sunday morning." I replied, "I thought he was our sexton." "We don't have a sexton. Earl has volunteered to keep up the grounds and clean the church every week so we can save money on other things." Dr. Earl Harper was the first African American to get a PhD in engineering from the University of Texas. It's quite a story. It wasn't easy to be the first one. He was a former chair of engineering at Siegman School of Business, a division of Grand Valley State University in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Earl met with the city engineers and planners and was given a green light to go ahead with our plans that included the parking lot. Earl also agreed with the church as a volunteer to be the general manager, the project manager, and manage all the subcontractors. He saved St. Philip's a boatload of money. He was not easy to work for, though. Earl had a similar gift to Marcus. He got things done. But I kind of like to imagine, and picture him as his quiet time was communing with God while riding around the property on his riding lawnmower in his overalls, straw hat, and a red rag hanging out of his back pocket. There's something that's easily overlooked in this passage that has nothing to do with the ministry of Martha. It has to do with the phrase that says, Martha was distracted by her many tasks. I can identify with that phrase. How about you? You ever get distracted by your many tasks? Mary found that better part, that quiet part, and the ability to listen to what the Lord was saying, and that will not be taken away from her. Jesus could tell from Martha's tone of voice that she was troubled and distracted by her many tasks. I think we miss the point when we only see in this narrative the contrasts of personalities. Or we think Jesus didn't value Martha's contributions. He was a friend giving another good, friendly advice, trying to help her see that she needed to be more than just a doer. She also needed to be a hearer, a sitter, a listener. And that was going to mean finding her way to her better, quiet heart. Where's your quiet heart? Perhaps it's a place free from distractions, a place that draws you out from something and into something else. In his writings, Thomas Merton refers to the inner space as a house of nothing, a place where one can be free from the demands and noise of the world and experience a deeper connection with God. When I worked as a chaplain in residence with the VA hospitals in New York City when I came out of seminary, I spent a lot of time traveling and riding the subway between Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn. I found my better quiet heart traveling in subways. I know it's hard to imagine. But sometimes the car was relatively empty and quiet, and sometimes crowded and noisy. Noisier, quiet, empty, or crowded, I found my contemplative, quiet heart traveling beneath the city. And I think I often recognize others possibly doing the same thing. Where is your better, quiet part, which will not be taken away? If you don't know, please try to find it.